When nature shows its true form, the soul trembles, and something similar happened with Flight 571. This plane crashed on a snowy hill thousands of feet above the ground, and the passengers who survived this crash had only one option to save themselves: to eat the flesh of their own family members and friends. The story of Flight 571. Whether you call it the biggest miracle of the world or the biggest cruelty in human history, but hearing this story will make your soul tremble. This heartbreaking story begins on October 12, 1972, when a Europlane takes off from South America to reach Santiago, the capital of Chile. There are rugby players sitting in this plane, and their family members, relatives, and friends are going to watch their match. There are a total of 45 passengers in this plane, including 9 crew members. This flight will reach its destination in 3 hours, but on the way it will have to cross the Andes mountain range, but unfortunately the weather gets bad further ahead. Due to this flight is landed in Mendoza city of Argentina on the way. This flight stays there overnight and gets ready to take off the next day on October 13th, but the problem is that the weather is still bad. But the good thing is that the pilot of this flight has flown this route 29 times before, so he has a complete idea about how to cross these hills of the Andes. Due to the pilot's confidence, the flight takes off again on October 13th at 2:18 p.m. There is only 1 hour left to reach Santiago from here, and the pilot is confident that after 1 hour he will reach Santiago safely. The plane was flying at an altitude of about 18,000 feet and was slowly crossing the Andes Mountains, but the weather worsened further, due to which the visibility decreased further and the pilot was not able to see anything ahead. If the weather had been clear, the pilot would have been able to get an idea of where the plane was by looking at the surrounding hills. But at this time the pilot is dependent only on the instruments of the plane. Now, because the pilot knew that they would reach Santiago in 1 hour. That's why he kept estimating his location roughly, and after an hour he felt that he had crossed the Andes Mountains. So he asked ATC for permission to land the plane at Santiago Airport. ATC asked if you have crossed the Andes Mountains. So the pilot said that yes, they have crossed the Andes Mountains. ATC was also dependent on the location given by the pilot, so ATC gave permission to land the plane, and told the pilot to bring the plane to an altitude of 11,500 feet. At 3:21 p.m. the pilot started slowly decreasing the altitude of the plane. As soon as the plane comes down, the pilot sees that he is now above the Andes Mountains and there is a huge rock in front. The pilot quickly tries to lift the plane up again, but now it was too late. While lifting the plane up, its rear part hits the hill and breaks into pieces. Due to the breaking of the rear part of the plane, the seats at the back along with the passengers fly away in the air, and 3 passengers die flying in the air. In this collision, the right wing of the plane was also broken, due to which the plane becomes unbalanced. And its other wing also hits the mountain and breaks as well. Now only the front part of the plane was left, and it hit the glacier below at a speed of 350 kilometers per hour. The plane is completely destroyed and the pilots are killed instantly. Out of 45 people, 12 have died in this incident, and 33 are still alive. However, most of them are severely injured and unaware of their current location. The crashed plane is scattered on an unknown Andes mountain at an altitude of 3,570 meters above the ground. Whether they will be able to escape from this mountain is unknown. What has happened so far is just a small trailer. The real story of this flight is about to begin. You can't even imagine what is going to happen to them next. These desolate Andes mountains are about to unleash havoc upon them. Knowing their upcoming story will make your soul tremble. One of the injured passengers was Nando Pardo, who suffered a head injury that caused him to fall into a coma. The problem was that the sun was going to set soon and it was about to be evening, so the rescue team did not have much time to find them, and if by chance they were not rescued before it got dark, then it would be impossible to spend the night on this snowy hill because the temperature here reaches minus 30 degrees Celsius at night. Soon 4 ships were dispatched for rescue. These 4 ships searched the Andes Mountains, but they did not find anything anywhere. Because the plane crashed at a place where there was white snow and dense fog, and the plane was also white in color, the rescue team was unable to see the crash site when looking from above. Soon it became night and the rescue operation was postponed for the whole night. The surviving passengers hoped that somehow they could just survive the night, as tomorrow someone would save them, and they made a shelter in the crashed plane and spent the night there. This night was very terrible for them because they have to spend tonight in minus 30 degrees Celsius, but they have a hope that tomorrow someone will find them and save them. In this hope, they somehow manage to pass this night, but 5 people are unable to survive this night, and now the number of people left alive reduces from 33 to 28. The next morning on October 14th, the search operation was resumed and 11 aircraft flew to find them, but the problem was that the crashed plane was not visible in the snowy mountains due to its white color. The rescue planes were flying over the survivors, but they could not see them below, so the survivors tried to write SOS with lipstick on the plane to signal the rescue team. But lipstick wasn't enough to make them write SOS. For this reason, they made a big cross on the snow with their suitcases so that it could be clearly visible to the rescue team from the sky. That day, 3 airplanes flew over them, but unfortunately no one noticed them, and the day also passed by. The next day, on October 15th, the situation is similar, but the rescue team is unable to find them. Now these survivors had realized that they were in a very bad situation and they did not know when help would arrive. Now these survivors had realized that they were in deep trouble, and it was impossible to say when help would arrive. Because of this, they started using the materials available in the plane to create survival techniques. By melting snow under the sun, they managed to arrange water drop by drop, but they had very limited options for food. 3 days after the crash, on October 16th, Nando Paradu woke up from a coma. As soon as he regained consciousness, he learned that his mother had died in the crash and his 19-year-old sister was critically injured. Days were passing by, but help was nowhere in sight. The food available on the plane had also run out. The sunlight reflecting off the snow was damaging their eyes. Enduring hunger, thirst, and unbearable cold, they had now spent 8 days on this mountain. Rescue planes would come but fly right past them. 8 days after the crash, Nando's sister also lost her fight for survival and passed away. Meanwhile, after 8 days, the search operation was called off. Because there is a lot of snowfall there in the month of October. Due to this, the search operation is postponed for 2 months. The official thought that all the passengers would have died in these 8 days. Because of this, their dead bodies will be found after 2 months and sent to their families. Here the survivors found a radio in the wreckage of the plane. When the survivors turned on the radio, their own news was being broadcast in it that the search operation of Flight 571 has now been stopped. This news shocked the survivors. Till now he had a hope of being found, but now he was hearing the news of his own death on the radio. There was a ray of hope of being found, but that too has been shattered. Now they know that death is certain here. Now either let the circumstances dominate you or face them boldly. They tried to escape the cold by tearing up plane seats and stuffing the cotton from them into their clothes, and wrapped the seat covers around their feet to make shoes to walk in the snow. The biggest problem was food. Now they had only one option to stay alive. To do what no one has ever done in history, the very thought of which makes the soul tremble. He decided to eat the dead bodies of his family members, relatives, and friends with whom he had once played, lying in the snow. However, it was not at all easy for him to take this decision. Days were passing one by one. They had no plan to save themselves. He would sleep inside the broken-down plane at night to escape the cold. But 16 days after the crash, on October 29th, nature gave them another shock. They were sleeping at night and suddenly they realized that a thick piece of ice was breaking off from the mountain and falling down. This avalanche came with such force that the huge amount of snow engulfed their broken plane. His plane was buried under snow and snow had entered inside the plane as well, due to which there was a shortage of oxygen and 8 more people died due to suffocation. And now only 19 people are left alive, but they are also buried under the snow. It takes these people 3 days to get out of this snow. Now they realize that if they stay here, everyone will be killed one by one. It is better to get out of this hill and try to find help. Most of those people were in injured condition. Because of this, he was not able to cross this hill. But there were 3 people who were less injured. Because of this, all 3 of them decided to go out of this hill and bring help. They carried pieces of meat with them for the journey and were given the thickest clothes to protect themselves from the cold. And on November 15th, 33 days after the crash, these 3 people set out to find help. As they were walking, it started getting dark and then their attention fell on another broken part of the plane. When those people go near that debris, they find a lot of food in it. They decided to spend the night in this. This night had been a good one for them in the past few days. They found a battery in that rear part of the plane. He thought, why not take this battery near the main body of the plane and switch on the communication device installed in it and call for help? But the battery weighed 25 kilograms and it was not possible to carry such a heavy battery to the crash site in such a weak condition. Then he thought that he should remove that communication device from the main body of the plane and bring it near the battery and switch it on, with the help of which he can call the rescue team. He tried to start it for a few days but did not succeed. And on December 11th, 59 days after the crash, another avalanche occurs, in which 3 more survivors are killed, after which the number of survivors remains only 16. And now these 3 young men, Sen, Paradu and Vigent, set out to climb the glacier without any gear. All 3 of them move towards the west, but they do not know at all whether they will find any human settlement in the direction in which they are going or not. All he felt was that he had to cross the hill in front and he would get help, and they hoped that they would cross this mountain in 3 days. That's why they kept only 3 days' supply of meat with there. They had made a sleeping bag by stitching it together with thread, so the 3 of them would climb the mountain all day without any gear and sleep huddled together in the same sleeping bag at night. Spending the night in -30 degrees Celsius in the open without any facilities was not an easy task. After walking for 4 days, these people reached the top of that hill. As soon as these people reached the top of the mountain, the ground slipped from under their feet. Because after climbing the mountain, they realized that the direction in which they were walking for so long was the wrong direction. The road ahead never ends. Now, because their food supplies were low, they decided that one of them would go back to the crush side and the other 2 would go forward, so Vigent turned back. And after Paradu and Sen climbed to the top of the mountain, they discover the correct path. And after moving forward for several days, they find a small stream of river. Both of them continue going down along with the stream. And after walking continuously for 9 days, on December 20th, they see 3 people on the other side of the river. They were very tired while walking. In the last 9 days, he had hiked 61 kilometers on the mountain and now his destination was in front of him. He requested them for help, but they went away saying, "Tomorrow." He did not get any help that day, but the next day the villager came back and wrapped a paper and pen in a stone and threw it on the other side of the river. Nundura picked up the pen and paper and wrote down everything that had happened. When the villager read that paper, he understood everything because he knew that a plane crash had happened in these hills a few days ago and people had also come to that area for inquiry. But he was surprised how these people were still alive. The villager quickly went to the city and shared this information with the army command, and soon the Air Force arrived to rescue them. Army officers, including Paradu and Sen, fly to the crash site in a helicopter and rescue the remaining survivors on December 22, 1972, 70 days after the crash. The condition of these people was very bad. After this crash, only 16 people were able to survive. Their story was really a heart-wrenching story.